How long do habits really take to form? Welcome to Rethink Your Perspectives blog, your trusted space for unlocking potential, empowering mindsets, building productive habits, and boosting motivation. Today we're discovering how long habits really take to form, why the 21-day myth persists, and how to build consistent habits without frustration. Don't forget to join the mailing list on the website for weekly updates and powerful tools to support your growth. We hope you get some benefit from these posts, and we would love to hear your thoughts. Don't hesitate to like, share, and comment at the links at the bottom of the post. The frustration many people feel. Many people begin building new habits with optimism. They decide to exercise regularly, plan their day more effectively, read more often, or reduce distractions at work. At first, motivation is high, and progress feels encouraging. But then something frustrating happens. A few weeks later, the behaviour still feels effortful. Starting still requires intention. Some days the habit happens easily, but on other days it slips entirely, which leads to a common thought. Why hasn't this become automatic yet? Part of the frustration comes from a popular myth, the belief that habits take 21 days to form. While this idea is appealing, the reality of habit formation is more nuanced and far more forgiving. Understanding how habits actually develop can remove unnecessary guilt and make consistency far easier to achieve. The myth of the 21-day habit. The idea that habits take 21 days to form has circulated for decades. It appears frequently in self-help books, productivity advice, and motivational speeches. However, the original source of this idea was misunderstood. The concept traces back to observations by plastic surgeon Dr. Maxwell Maltz, who noticed that patients often took around 3 weeks to adjust to physical changes. Over time, this observation evolved into the simplified belief that any behaviour becomes a habit in 21 days. Modern behavioural research suggests something quite different. Habit formation varies widely depending on the behaviour, the individual, and the environment. For many habits, the process takes significantly longer than 3 weeks. What research actually suggests? One of the most widely referenced studies on habit formation was conducted at University College London. Researchers followed participants who were attempting to build simple daily habits such as drinking water after breakfast or going for a short walk. The results showed that habits took an average of around 66 days to become automatic. However, the range was wide. Some habits formed in around 18 days, while others took over 200 days. This variation highlights something important. Habits don't develop on a fixed timeline. Instead, they strengthen gradually through repetition. What automatic actually means? Another misunderstanding around habits is the idea that automatic means effortless. In reality, automatic habits simply require less mental effort. When a habit becomes automatic, you think about it less, starting requires less motivation, the behaviour feels more natural within your routine. But even established habits can occasionally require intention. For example, brushing your teeth is a habit. Yet if you travel somewhere unfamiliar, you might briefly need to remind yourself. Automation reduces friction, but it doesn't remove awareness entirely. Why some habits take longer than others. Several factors influence how quickly a habit becomes automatic. Understanding these factors helps set realistic expectations. Firstly, the complexity of the habit. Small habits become automatic faster than complex ones. For example, drinking a glass of water each morning or writing down one task for the day. These behaviours require minimal effort. In contrast, habits like daily exercise or long study sessions require more time, planning, and energy. The more complex the behaviour, the longer it typically takes to become consistent. Secondly, consistency of the cue. Habits form around cues, triggers that signal the brain to perform a behaviour. A habit attached to a consistent cue is easier to repeat. For example, after I make my morning coffee, I will review my priorities. When cues are inconsistent or vague, habits become harder to reinforce. Third, environment. Your environment strongly influences behaviour. If tools are easy to access and distractions are limited, habits become easier to repeat. For example, a visible notebook encourages planning. A clear workspace supports focus. A prepared gym bag reduces friction. When environments support behaviour, habit formation accelerates. And fourth, the emotional resistance. Habits linked to discomfort or effort often take longer to establish. For example, exercising regularly may take longer to feel natural than drinking a glass of water. Reducing the size of the habit can help overcome resistance and build consistency faster. Why missed days don't reset progress. One of the most damaging myths around habits is the belief that missing a day resets progress completely. Fortunately, this is not how habit formation works. Habits develop through repeated patterns over time. A single missed day does not erase the progress already made. In fact, research suggests that occasional disruptions have very little long-term impact. What matters far more is returning to the habit rather than abandoning it entirely. Consistency over weeks and months matters far more than perfection. How to build habits without frustration. Understanding that habits take time allows you to approach them with greater patience. Here are a few practical ways to support that habit formation. So firstly, start smaller than you think. Large habits often rely on motivation. Smaller habits repeat more easily. For example, instead of committing to an hour of focused work, begin with 5 minutes. Instead of planning an entire week, identify your top tasks for the day. Small actions repeated consistently strengthen neural pathways over time. Second, attach habits to existing routines. Habit stacking, our topic from last week, is one of the most reliable ways to build consistency. You link the new habit, to something you already do. For example, after I open my laptop, I will review my priorities. This removes the need to remember or rely on motivation. Thirdly, focus on patterns, not streaks. Tracking streaks can be motivating, but they can also create unnecessary pressure. Instead of asking, did I do this perfectly every day? Ask, am I doing this more often than I used to? Patterns matter far more than perfection. And fourth, design your environment. Small environmental adjustments can dramatically reduce friction. For example, keep your planning notebook visible. Silence notifications during focused work. Prepare materials in advance. These changes make habits easier to repeat without constant effort. Habits and long-term productivity. The true value of habits appears over time. When behaviours become consistent parts of your routine, productivity stops relying on daily motivation. Instead of constantly deciding what to do next, your routine provides structure. This reduces decision fatigue and allows you to focus on meaningful work rather than constant self-management. Over months and years, these small repeated behaviours compound into significant progress. So what do you think? Habits rarely form in 21 days. For most people, the process takes longer, sometimes several months. This isn't a failure, it's simply how behaviour change works. Habits strengthen gradually through repetition, supportive environments, and realistic expectations. Rather than focusing on how quickly a habit forms, focus on making it easy to repeat. So a gentle question to reflect on this week. What small habit could you continue repeating, even if it takes longer than expected to feel automatic? Consistency, not speed, is what ultimately creates lasting change. If this inspired you to rethink your own habits, explore my own other posts in the Knowledge Centre, or to learn more about how I can help you apply these principles in your own life, you can message me here, connect on social media, or book a free discovery call. To your continued success, Jaiye, rethink your perspective.